John Ternus. That name holds a special meaning around here in this channel's lore, because as of recording this right now, that video is my most viewed video from last year, period. And the second place most viewed video, it's not even close. So it felt appropriate to come on here and talk about Mr. Ternus again, because his name is once again being thrown out there, out into the ether of the internet about him taking over Tim Cook's position as chief executive. And look, before we get started, I recorded this whole video and I'm so frustrated because the whole time completely blurred. And I'm gonna say that was a sign to redo it and make this a better executed video, because now at least I put on the lights here, because yeah, what's going on over here? I got lights over here now? Well, for people who've been with me since the beginning or a very long time, you would know and remember that these used to be my lights. And I recently got access to my Philip Hue app again, so I can turn these suckers on. And I'm like, all right, I keep mixing it up. Now I'm standing. Now I just overall mixing it up. But anyway, all that to say that I'm redoing this video, and it's I'm a little frustrated, but at the same time, maybe I can get my points across a little bit more concisely. So, John Ternus. We've been hearing his name thrown out there a lot over the last year and a half-ish. And it's because Mr. Timothy Cook, well, he is human and he's getting up there in age. And we've known from his own mouth, he's like, I hope I'm not, around Apple, leading Apple as CEO by 2030. But I was thinking like, oh, maybe he'll go up to 2030 and step down. Now it seems like his retirement is more imminent and people are getting a bit anxious about this, antsy. And I wanted to just kind of revisit this topic again, because when I opened that video, my most popular video, by saying, who is John Ternus? And I feel like since that video, a lot of people, at least 11,000 people as of recording this, at least 11,000 people know who he is now. But we've seen his DNA, his imprints on the Apple ecosystem for quite some time, long before last year. Now, here's the thing. I'm aware, a lot of people out there, I've seen the comments in my own video, I've seen it out there on social media. People really, really want it to be Craig Federighi. Because he's the comic relief, he's charismatic, he makes it fun, he makes Apple feel exciting, and those are all the traits of having a good leader. Kind of, sort of, yes, that's true, but that's not all it is. And Craig is still a leader. He is the top of the top when it comes to the software stuff. So, and by his own words, he has said in an interview that he doesn't want to be CEO. Now, he might have been, tongue in cheek with it, but.
Tim said, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago, that he says he won't be at Apple for, at least in the next 10 years, he will not stay at Apple for the next 10 years. Your name's being floated.
Insanity. Yeah, no, that would be irresponsible.
The truth is, I don't think he wants the job, and even more the truth of, I don't think he would be a good CEO. I'm a Craig sexual like the rest of you who are fans of him, okay? I love this guy. He is entertaining, and he's very charismatic in his own presentations and stuff like that, but that's not enough to have a chief executive lead a multi-trillion-dollar company like Apple. You need to have results. And out of everything that's been going on in Apple over the last, let's say, 5 years, during COVID, post-COVID, everything that's been going on with Apple that has been a net positive for PR, for brand credibility, for everything, has to do with hardware. And who's in charge of hardware? That's right. And all my little things I staged it this time where, like, the iPhone, industrial, right, has this industrial design. The Apple Watch, industrial design. The iPad is very, very thin for a Pro, not industrial, but elegant nonetheless. All the hardware, the technicality of building the iPad hardware, all the hardware has been spot on point, in my opinion, no compromise. The compromise comes with the software. Apple Intelligence. Sorry, Craig. And here's the thing. Overall, when it comes to the hardware, I can't even the star of the show for me, which is off frame here, is the redesigned M-chip MacBook Pro. I have the M1 Pro in here. Ports are back, baby. They brought all the ports back. It's thick. They took function over form. And that's how, in my opinion, hardware should be. When we look, even with the tech woven, this is way more improved than fine woven. The functionality of what's happening here is most important. If they're going to do away with leather, at least this thing is sturdy. It has function over form. Everything in the hardware, everything that we can tangibly just interact with, touch, has function over form first. But that feels like anti-Apple, doesn't it? Form over function, Johnny Ive, elegance, beauty. That should have always existed, especially now in this era. Form over function should exist in the software because that's where the intuitiveness should roll in, is how you engage with the hardware. But make no mistake, the hardware should be function over form first. And the results speak for themselves. We have Pro iPhones that now feel Pro in every sense. We have elegant iPhones with the iPhone Air, of course. And we have great iPhones for base model iPhones. And same thing, I can make the same case for the iPad in hardware has always been phenomenal. They had a 4-speaker system before anything else. The OLED or micro LED or whatever, it all came to the iPad first. ProMotion, all that stuff happened here first. And then the ecosystem around the iPad with the hardware, speaking of the updated Apple Pencil and this beauty of a keyboard, that was all function over form. The MacBook is, the Mac in general, amazing hardware within its own tech specs. From the transition of the Apple Silicon, the M chips that John Ternus oversaw, everything became function over form now because now they have the hardware to meet those expectations. It was the software that was always lacking. Now, some people are gonna rave or hate on iOS 26, but that's my point. There's nothing wrong with the hardware. People are it's chipping and it's denting, it's a cheaper material. We're nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking, guys. To be completely honest, we're nitpicking. And if, you know what aluminum is, and they're like, this doesn't feel like a Pro device anymore. Which is weird because every other Pro device that I have is also aluminum, from iPad to Mac. Nobody was complaining that. My studio display, it's not Pro, it's just a studio display. Everything else is aluminum, and I don't care because it was function over form. If you care about form, there is a device for that. There's a better Apple Watch than the Ultra, which is titanium, but you have more elegant Apple Watches, you have more elegant iPhones, there are more elegant Macs out there. So all that and then some, I know I'm a bit raving here, all that and then some, the plethora of options that we have, which aren't, in my opinion, really all that bad, all come under John Ternus's jurisdiction of what he's in charge of. Software, we can work on it. We can, we'll get there. But even the stuff that's not mainstream, like an Apple TV or a Apple Vision Pro or any home speakers, all the stuff that I think we're going to get updates this month when it comes to refreshes, AirTags and stuff like that. The hardware is the most important part because that is the vessel to the soul that needs work on, which is software. And if this is any indication of where we're at on the hardware side, that hey, things are great here on the hardware side, let's take the leadership of everything that's going right from there and elevate that to the whole company. I'm not saying software is flawed or wrong or behind. I'm just saying it needs a little TLC. And putting all that to the side, more philosophically speaking now, when you think of Apple's history, right there, when I just said Apple's history, how far back did your brain go? Did it go back to the start of Apple in the 70s? Did it go back to 1984 with the Macintosh? Did it go back to when Jobs was ousted? Did it go back to when he came back in the 90s? Did it go back to the early 2000s, 2001, when the first iPod came out? How about 2007 when the iPhone came out? 2011 when Steve passed and Tim Cook took over? 2020, this new era of Apple. When you think of that, what comes to your mind? I'm curious, but put that in the comments for me. When you think of that, what era of Apple is it nostalgia? Man, it was better back then. Or was it like, man, we came a long way? However you look at it, whichever era that I just listed off that you thought of, it was a different time. Even 5 years ago, it was a different time. Johnny Ive, his Apple era of elegance, iOS 7, from iPhone 5S forward. I mean, we can even get subcategories in those eras, right? But my point I'm making is Apple as a company is treated like a living, breathing entity, ever growing and hopefully ever evolving, adapting to the times. Because let's be real, as much as we have Apple fans everywhere, they're kind of falling behind, say, in the AI push right now. And maybe AI is a fad, a trend, and it's not going to be around forever. I can't read the future. I don't know. But what I do know is they are not number one in the US anymore. Now, under what metrics? Are we just going market cap? Are we going by popularity? Are we going by innovation? That's up for you to decide. That's where it becomes a bit more subjective. In my mind, they are kind of living a little bit in the past, just a little bit. Their old way of thinking isn't working. I don't put that on Tim Cook specifically. I don't think he was ever brought in as the chief executive to be an innovator. We don't need another marketing guy. That was Jobs. That was his thing. He could sell anything to you. He could make me buy 20 of these in his prime. We don't need an operations guy who's specialized in streamlined supply chain efficiencies. That was to improve what was already in existence. Now, under Tim Cook, we did get new accessories. His legacy to me is everything surrounding the iOS ecosystem, from accessories like Apple Watch or AirPods to even the software and the subscriptions and the services and having recurring revenue come out that way. He made Apple what it is today, which is great, but I think it's time we have another pivot. We need new blood. We need potentially an innovator. And in my mind, innovation isn't giving you something we'd never thought about before. It's about improving what's already in existing and making that the most optimized version, whether it is a new iPhone 17 Pro, the iPad being a better version of itself, the Mac, the Mac's IOs for that matter, everything with it. We have the silicon now to make everything more or less the same, which I believe is part of that unified software that we're seeing. And now it's about on what platform is it really being emphasized the most. I think that's where we need the new innovation coming from. And if I'm being honest, when I look at John Ternus, that guy, he's young. Now, I mean, we need young blood. And I'm not saying he's a young spring chicken, because he's not. Pop quiz right here on the spot. Can you tell, because I did talk about this in my previous video with John Ternus, do you know how long John Ternus has been with Apple? If you would have said, time's up, if you would have said he joined Apple in 2001 with the design team, yes, iPod, first iPod era time, if you would have said that, you would have been correct. So he's been with Apple for all these modern era developments, right? He's been here the whole time. So this guy started from the ground floor, worked his way up. He knows very well how the machine runs. That's not what I mean by new blood. I think we just need a new approach. And I think John Ternus, you can see it in his eyes sometimes. There's a hunger there. He has that passion. So John, if you do take over, whenever that happens, stay hungry, stay foolish.